The man who recruited you was not wearing a cartel uniform. He was wearing a janitor's uniform. He cleaned the hallways of the chemistry faculty at the University of Guadalajara 3 days a week. He had been watching you for 2 months before he said a single word. He knew your name, he knew your grades, he knew you were in your final year of a chemistry degree and that you had 43,000 pesos in student debt and no job lined up. He offered you a job. You said yes. That decision, made in a university hallway between classes, in under 4 minutes, will put more people in the ground than any weapon the CJNG has ever fired. Fentanyl is 100 times more potent than morphine. A lethal dose fits on the tip of a pencil. 1 kilogram of precursor chemicals costing $4,000 can be synthesized into a product with a street value of over $1 million. You will become one of the most valuable people in the most dangerous organization in the Western Hemisphere. Not because you can shoot, not because you can intimidate, because you understand organic chemistry. 5 levels, 1 lab, and a product that has killed more Americans than every war since Vietnam combined. This is your life as a CJNG fentanyl chemist. Level 1. The student Guadalajara, Jalisco. Final year. You are 24 years old. You are good at chemistry, genuinely good. The kind of good that your professors notice and that your classmates resent slightly. You understand reaction mechanisms intuitively. You can hold three-dimensional molecular structures in your mind and rotate them. You see the pathways between precursors and products the way some people see patterns in music. You grew up in Guadalajara. Your father drives a delivery truck. Your mother cleans houses in the Zapopan neighborhood where the wealthy families live. They paid for your university education through a combination of savings, loans, and a sacrifice that you understand completely and that sits in your chest every time you look at a bill. The job market for chemistry graduates in Mexico is not what your parents believed it would be when they started saving. Pharmaceutical companies hire a few. Research institutions hire fewer. Everyone else teaches or leaves the country or finds something else. The man in the janitor's uniform knows all of this. The CJNG has been recruiting on university campuses for years. Chemistry, biochemistry, pharmacology. They know which students are brilliant and broke. They know which ones have family obligations that remove the option of leaving. They know which ones have already been passed over for the internships that lead to legitimate careers. He does not explain who he works for during the first conversation. He talks about a private laboratory, pharmaceutical testing, a research operation that requires discretion. The pay, 150,000 pesos per month. Cash. Your monthly student loan payment is 8,000 pesos. You ask 3 questions. He answers all 3. You say you want to think about it. You think about it for 48 hours. You say yes. Level 2. The Lab Jalisco. First months. The laboratory is in a warehouse on the edge of an industrial zone in the municipality of Tlajomulco. It is not what you expected. It is clean, professionally equipped. Fume hoods, reaction vessels, analytical instruments, a gas chromatograph and HPLC system, a precision balance accurate to 1/100th of a milligram. Equipment that your university's underfunded chemistry department does not have. There are 4 other chemists. You do not learn their real names. You learn their work names, which is how you will know them for as long as you are here. The supervisor explains the product on the first day. He uses the clinical language of pharmaceutical chemistry, because that is the language you all speak. He shows you the synthesis route, the sequence of chemical reactions that transforms precursor compounds into fentanyl. The precursors arrive in labeled shipping containers from China. The paperwork describes them as industrial chemicals. They move through Mexican customs without issue because customs inspection of industrial chemical imports is inconsistent and the cartel has people in the right places. The chemistry itself is not complicated. You understood the synthesis route within 30 minutes of seeing it. What takes time is optimization. Learning to produce fentanyl at high purity and consistent potency, to maintain quality control across large batches, to adapt when one precursor becomes unavailable and a substitute must be found. You earn your salary within the first week. What you do not discuss, what none of you discuss, is the end of the supply chain. The product leaves the warehouse in sealed containers. Where it goes, how it travels, who presses it into pills. That is not your department. You are here to synthesize. The distribution is someone else's architecture. You tell yourself this matters. The separation between production and outcome. It does not matter. You know this already. You simply have not yet decided what to do with knowing it. Level 3. The scale Jalisco. 1 year in. 1 kilogram of fentanyl. You hold this number in your mind the way you held molecular structures in university. 1 kilogram. It can be pressed into approximately 1 million counterfeit OxyContin pills. Each pill contains enough fentanyl to kill an adult who has no opioid tolerance. Each pill is sold on the street in the United States for between $10 and $30. 1 kilogram. 1 million pills. $10 to $30 million in street revenue. In your first year, your laboratory produces approximately 40 kilograms per month. You do not spend time calculating what this means in human terms. Not because you are incapable of the calculation, you are a chemist, numbers are your language, but because the calculation leads somewhere you cannot follow if you intend to keep coming to work. The laboratory scales up. A second shift is added. 2 more chemists join the team. You are promoted, informally, without a title change, but materially, to senior chemist. You oversee quality control across both shifts. Your salary increases to 280,000 pesos per month. You buy your parents a car. You tell them you are working for a pharmaceutical testing company. Your mother cries when she sees it. She asks if you are happy in the work. You tell her yes. You are not unhappy. This is the most honest answer you can give. The chemistry is genuinely interesting. The optimization problems are real problems. When a Chinese supplier changes the composition of a precursor batch and the yield drops by 30%, you spend 3 days running experiments until you find the adjustment that restores it. You feel the specific satisfaction of a problem solved. You do not let the satisfaction and the calculation exist in the same room in your mind at the same time. Then, one Tuesday morning, you see a news report on your phone during a break. A high school in Tempe, Arizona. 17 years old. A counterfeit OxyContin pill bought from a classmate. A lethal fentanyl dose, dead in his bedroom. You look at the photograph of him for a long time. His name was Marcus. You go back to work. Level 4. The Cost Jalisco, Year 2. The DEA seizes one of the cartel's shipping networks in Sonora. The seizure does not touch your laboratory, but the supply chain upstream of you tightens. The Chinese precursor network that has been running smoothly for 18 months is under new scrutiny. U.S. pressure on Beijing, new monitoring of specific chemical compounds at Chinese export facilities. 2 shipments are intercepted at Mexican customs in consecutive months. Your supervisor gives you a new assignment. Identify alternative synthesis routes using precursors that are not currently on any controlled substance schedule. This is the most interesting problem you have been given. It is also the most dangerous thing you have done. Developing new synthesis pathways requires documentation, detailed notes, reaction logs, analytical data. All of it is evidence, all of it connects you, specifically and irrefutably, to the production of a substance responsible for tens of thousands of deaths per year. You work on it for 6 weeks. You find 3 viable alternative routes. 2 of them use precursors currently unscheduled in both Mexico and the United States. You present the results to your supervisor. He sends them up the chain. 3 weeks later, a DEA intelligence report identifies a new fentanyl analog appearing in the United States, structurally distinct from standard fentanyl, not yet scheduled under the Controlled Substances Act. The report notes that the synthesis appears to require specialized organic chemistry knowledge. You read this report because you have been following DEA press releases the way a fugitive follows news about his own case. You are 26 years old. You have made more money in 2 years than your father will make in the rest of his working life. You have never fired a weapon. You have never threatened anyone. You have never been to the United States. And somewhere in that country, the thing you made is in people's bodies. You think about Marcus and Tempe. You think about the photograph. You have thought about it every day for 14 months. You begin to think about what happens next. Level 5, the exit Jalisco, Year 3. There is no clean way out. You have understood this for months. The CJNG does not have an exit process. There is no resignation letter, no 2 weeks notice, no handshake and a severance package. You know things. Synthesis routes, production volumes, facility locations, the names and work names of a dozen people in the organization's chemical infrastructure. That knowledge has a value, and its value means you are not free to take it elsewhere. The options, as you have mapped them, are three. Continue. Accept the salary and the work and the calculation you do not allow yourself to make. Watch Marcus's photograph on your phone every night and get up in the morning anyway. Disappear. Leave Guadalajara, leave Mexico. Become someone else in a country where the CJNG's reach is shorter. This works until it doesn't. The organization has people everywhere. Your parents are still in Guadalajara. They drive the car you bought them. Cooperate. Talk to the DEA or the Mexican federal prosecutors, or both. The Witness Protection Program, a new identity. The evidence you could provide, your documentation, your synthesis records, your knowledge of the supply chain would be among the most detailed inside accounts of cartel fentanyl production ever given to law enforcement. Your parents are still in Guadalajara. This is the sentence that appears at the end of every option. You are 27 years old. You are a chemist from the University of Guadalajara who said yes in a hallway between classes. You have not fired a weapon. You have never seen the end of the supply chain you supply. You have told yourself for 3 years that the separation matters. You sit in the laboratory at 2 in the morning running a quality control test on the latest batch. The instruments hum. The numbers appear on the screen. The purity is 98.7%. You think about Marcus. You think about your mother crying over the car. You think about what you know and what you could do with it and what it would cost. The instruments hum. You have not decided yet. In 2024, synthetic opioids, primarily fentanyl, were responsible for 48,422 overdose deaths in the United States. The year before, 76,282. The year before that, over 80,000. More Americans have died from fentanyl overdoses in the past 5 years than died in the Vietnam War, the Korean War, and both Gulf Wars combined. The precursor chemicals that make this possible come primarily from China. The synthesis happens in Mexico. The distribution happens through networks that move product across the border in car frames, in frozen food shipments, in luggage that passes through the ports of entry every day. Mexican cartels lure chemistry students to make fentanyl. This is documented. This is happening on university campuses. The man in the janitor's uniform is real. The chemist in this story is fictional. The process is not. Somewhere tonight, a laboratory is running a synthesis. The instruments are humming. The numbers are good. Subscribe to our channel. New video every week. There are 1,000 more worlds like this one. You haven't been inside any of them yet.